Today I'm taking some thrifted metal finds and turning them into stunning rustic planters that will elevate your indoor or outdoor space. Welcome to the Chic Show. Today's Rustic Wednesday, but on Saturday, is hosted by Repurposed My Way and Shabby Meets Bling. This is an old metal coffee pot that I thrifted. It had a lid on it, but the lid clearly did not fit it. I don't think it was originally made for it. But I removed the lid and set it aside for another project. I took my coffee pot outside and spray painted it in a matte black, and now I'm using DIY's liquid patina in iron to paint on to the metal part. I'm going to leave the plastic handle black as it is. For this iron patina, you paint one coat on and let it dry, and then you apply a second coat, and while it's wet, which you can see this lighter area is where I've painted on the second coat, then you spray it with the patina spray, and then set it aside and let it do its thing. And this is the look we've got the next day, rusty and crusty. Now I'm taking part of the rub-on transfer from IOD's Fairy Tale Florals, and I'm applying that to the side of this coffee pot. Once it's been applied, I'm using that backing paper to rub over it to make sure that it is adhered to the coffee pot. So that it didn't look freshly applied, I took my finger sander and I lightly sanded over the rub-on transfer. Do want to seal in this transfer. I didn't for the sake of this video, but you would want to do that. And here's a look at it completed. I finally thrifted a metal watering can, and this one looks like it has already been painted over because I could see some things underneath the white paint, and it looks like someone has stamped on those little bees. But I'm using this milk paint, and for milk paint you mix it and you let it set aside for a few minutes, and then you can paint it on. And this light green color almost shows up as a cream color, but it's actually a really light green. I am applying 2 coats to cover up those little red bees. Once it's dry, I'm taking that little finger sander again and I'm sanding around the edges just to bring back some of the metal. After sanding along the top, I sanded along these little ridges on the side as well as the bottom. I've had the IOD Floral Anthology rub-on transfer for a while and I haven't used it all, so I'm going to apply this piece to the bottom part of one side of the can. I'm going to be applying a smaller part of this transfer on the other side. I also had a couple of other little bits and pieces that I'm going to be adding to the top of the can as well as the spout. And once again, I am going to lightly sand over each of the transfers to make it look a little bit more worn like the can. Seal everything in. I'm using some clear wax, and then I'm going to go back with some dark wax to age the can even a little bit more. I almost kind of regretted using the dark wax, but you let me know what you think. I was perfectly happy with the way it looked with the clear wax, but I thought, let's see what happens when we add the dark wax. It really just depends on what kind of look you're going for. As you can see, the handle is no longer with the can, so we need to fix that. I had this old purse handle or a handle off a basket or something in my stash, and I am painting it with some elephant chalk paint by Waverly. And then I'm going back and just dabbing on some black chalk paint to make it look a little bit more galvanized. I used a little bit of black wire to poke through the holes and to wire on this handle. It is certainly not something I would pick up this can by, but since I'm just using it as decor, it will be fine for this. Now I'm taking some florals from Dollar General and I'm just going to fill up my watering can. I thrifted this adorable little metal teacup and saucer. I paid about $2 for it. I actually think it was less than that. It was sitting outside and I brought it inside and they sold it to me. And I am just going to fill the cup up with a little bit of this Spanish moss because I'm going to be adding in some floral foam and I don't want it to show. I cut some pieces from some lavender I also had in my floral stash, and I'm just going to be sticking it into this floral foam until I get it nice and full. I also decided I wanted to add a few white flowers in here, so I used some baby's breath, and I tried the solid white baby's breath, but it was a little too stark for this rustic project, so I chose to use this more aged or brown kind of tan colored baby's breath, and I think it fits in perfectly. The only thing left to do was to wire these two pieces together so that they would be one. So I used a little bit of wire on two sides of the cup and wired it to the saucer. Make it a little more shabby chic-ish, I chose to use a couple of pieces of ribbon. I have this purple velvet ribbon as well as this lace ribbon. I tried tying that around the handle and then I thought, I wonder how it would look if I laced it up through the handle. So that's what I ended up doing. Let me know which way you prefer it, just tied at the top or laced up the way I do it at the end. This paint inlay is from the 2025 IOD summer release, and I'm going to be using it on this rusty, crusty match holder. Now, I did try to clean this match holder up, but it was just too worn, and I didn't want to paint over it because I really like the patina that's on it, and I wanted it to stay gold. So I'm adding some liquid patina to the front of it, and then I'm going to add on a piece of this paint inlay. I chose the piece I wanted and I spritzed it with a little bit of water and then I laid it down into that wet liquid patina. Now, supposedly you're only supposed to leave this a few minutes for it to dry and then spritz it and pull it up, but I never have luck with that, even with the liquid patina. And the liquid patina can dry so that you have trouble pulling it up, but I have never had that problem. So I let it sit overnight. I spritzed it again, and now I'm pulling up that backing paper. Now this is very subtle on this worn match holder, so it's kind of hard to see, but up close and in person, you can see it a little bit better. Maybe I should have applied some chalk paint to the center of it, and then I think it would have shown up a little bit more, but you let me know what you think. I hope you've enjoyed these ideas for upcycling thrifted metal finds into beautiful rustic planters. I hope you'll check out our host channels in the description box below, along with the Rustic Crusty playlist. Don't forget that you can find me at lachicshop.com and on Instagram, as well as YouTube and Facebook. Please join me over there as well. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to share the chic. Bye now.